What's your thoughts on them making this Black Panther game? If I'm
Black
not
Pan-
mistaken, yes, they're making a solo Black Panther game.
Really? I didn't even hear about this one.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't?
No,
This
this is a
actually,
shock.
actually, not gonna say old news.
I have not heard about this one, man. An open world Black Panther game at that, huh?
So
Okay.
yes, kind of open world, and it's gonna mirror the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order game.
Hmm.
Strictly single player, and they'll probably have a skill tree. I'm not too sure about the open world part because I'm still doing some research. They could.
Yeah, I'm looking it
what
up now, and
scares
I'm
me
seeing
is
like some.
yeah,
Well, I'm seeing that EA is involved.
yeah. That's
That right there is enough to make me nervous.
exactly. I think
That's
they're also making an Iron Man game too.
yeah. That's I'm seeing that. I'm seeing that as well. I mean,
Yeah,
on the surface, that gets me kind of hyped because I don't feel like they would make a Black Panther game if they didn't have long-term plans to bring Black Panther or to recast T'Challa, like number one.
exactly. Right.
But it's EA, man.
Yes,
It's
that's
EA.
my
And
problem.
we saw what went down with Battlefront. Like I get that they was able to kind of like rehabilitate the image and reputation of that game. But it's a reason FIFA's leaving EA, man. It's the reason that people keep wishing that the NFL would wise up and come and snatch that license from EA, man. It's the reason
Yeah,
EA ain't messing with the NBA, man. Like, I don't know what it is, but EA is like they getting, they Rockstar before Rockstar became Rockstar. Cause they all about that bottom line, man. It ain't very much fan service going on over at EA, bro. I don't know. I don't know how
I'm scared because it's EA, dude. Like, and just for the simple fact that I can't even get through Jedi Fallen Order. Not because it's hard. I just don't like that damn game. It's not difficult. It's just
that's how I feel about. That's how I felt about Avengers. It's not that Avengers, like, I had no vested interest in like the Avengers game. So, and the gameplay is not enough to keep me playing it. And that's why, like,
Right.
I see your point totally with Fallen Order, because for me, I loved Fallen Order. I hated the game, but I loved the story. Like, I was completely immersed in the story because I'm a Star Wars fan like that. So it's like, for me, I equate what you're saying to how I felt about Avengers. It's like, yeah, I like these characters, I know what's up, but like the story is not going to enthrall me, and this gameplay ain't really doing it for me enough to keep me playing it. And so that's how, like, I totally get how you feel with Fallen Order. And I can see why you felt that way, because the gameplay was lacking.
very
Like
much.
it was just, I don't like playing games where it's that strategic, if you will, in a combat game. Like, just let me be able to like destroy some ish and power up to be able to do more. You know what I'm saying? We'll see what we got here. Jeff Grubb said the debut of a new studio formed by the former head of Monolith, which made Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of... Okay, well
Okay.
that's a little bit better. That
Yeah.
takes a little bit of the stank off of it. Like, they
A
got
tad bit.
they starting with a decent base, then, but it's all about the herbs and spices, man. Like, what are you putting into this sauce?
But see, even those two games, like I've played both of those games, and both of those are still very like have like the restricted play. So they have it where you can like you have this large skill tree, but there's so many different options. It's like, which thing do I want to choose for my character as I'm going through? So then you have that thing kind of in the back of your head, and then the stuff that you can unlock. It's like progressive, so it's like you get one that you can unlock, and you can like swipe and then use maybe like say his suit, like Black Panther's suit. But then like the next one will be like you can swipe, use his suit, but his suit's just a little bit stronger. And then the fourth one will be swipe, use his suit's a little stronger, but he'll add an extra swipe. It's like little small progressions, It's not nothing that you really feel like, okay, I have to level this thing all the way up because I want to have the maximum power because this move is so cool, whatever the case. It's very restricted still, so that still worries me a little bit with them
I feel you.
modeling it. But I mean, the gameplay was still pretty fluid on Shadow of Mordor. It's a pretty large map, so that was always fun. There's little stuff that you can do outside of just actually playing the storyline. So I mean, it has its fun qualities, but as long as it's not too much like Jedi Fallen Order, I'll
Yeah.
get behind it and try to play.
Well,
But
I
I
feel
don't
like
know.
I feel like EA kind of figured it out because I think what is it? Jedi Survivor, they said the gameplay is going to be completely different from Fallen Order. So I think they even realized with Fallen Order that the gameplay wasn't it and that
Dude.
it needs to be revamped a little bit.
Yeah.
So hopefully they don't make those same mistakes with a Black Panther game, but I definitely am going to keep my eye on this now because when you talk about open world and single player, like, are we talking like where is this going to fit in like the Marvel gaming universe? Like, I don't need it to be
Right.
connected. I'm not saying anything like that, but is this going to be something that has like a story that's kind of shaped around what's been happening with Black Panther in the MCU, or
Right.
are we getting
Well,
something kind of like Spider-Man on PlayStation where it's completely separate, its own world, it's just that character and what have you, and it has no bearing on what's happening with the MCU?
well, I mean, I don't know. It could possibly have some relation. It could be a way to get the fans into the fact that they may recast T'Challa, or they may try to find a way to introduce a new Black Panther because it says it takes place after previous Black Panthers died. So
Hmm.
players take on the challenge of becoming a new Black Panther. So it's like,
Whoa. Okay.
exactly.
So yeah, then essentially what that tells me, and this is just again my own 2 cents. So I am not saying this is fact. But what that tells me is that they are trying to, like you said, they're warming people up to the idea that they finna recast T'Challa. Like this is all a part of easing people into the idea of looking at someone other than Chadwick Boseman playing T'Challa on screen. Like that's what this is coming down to. And my response to that is, you shouldn't even have to do that.
Right.
It ain't even that. It's not. Look, the whole thing about recast, and this is where I think people like get it twisted. The whole thing about recasting or not recasting T'Challa, I think if you have that mentality, it should be relegated to like directly in the sequel and just dismissing the fact that the actor died in real life. That was my argument, and in my honest opinion, that's the only argument that I can see that makes any kind of sense. Is if you're saying that you don't want to dishonor the legacy of Chadwick Boseman by just immediately recasting him in a movie and not acknowledging his passing.
Right.
That was my only beef. But beyond that, why would you not recast this character? It
Right.
makes no sense not to recast, especially when you are in this phase of your universe where people can be plucked out of the multiverse from any point in time. So you could essentially not only recast T'Challa, but you could create or recast any kind of T'Challa you want. It doesn't even have to be in the same vein as the T'Challa we received with Chadwick Boseman. You have free reign to wipe the slate clean and go in any direction, as long as you handle the business of honoring Chadwick first. If you do that with this movie, then I'm good. Like you can even do that with part of this movie and then spend the second half of the movie setting up your new Black, however you want to do it, which I think, honestly, I think that's the direction that the movie's going to end up going. But that's my thing. Like anybody I feel like that's arguing that it's so disrespectful to recast T'Challa, I'm like, do you not understand? Like, do you have the same energy in any instance where like either somebody decides that they don't want to do a movie anymore or that person dies untimely? Like, is that really what we doing? Like I saw somebody trying to compare this to like Paul Walker in the Fast. I'm like, this is way different.
Yeah, totally.
Way
Yeah, there's no way anybody would accept a deep fake of Chadwick Boseman
facts
to finish out his arc in any kind of way. And the bad part about it is the only way that would be feasible to do that on screen is if you actually did kill him, because it's like, where would he go for them? And they're not going to pull a Disney Star Wars and do a deep fake of him completely for another actor.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
it's not necessary
to do that. Right. So I
feel like the layup
and then move on.
I feel like the layup right here is Michael B. Jordan. Like, you got T'Challa right here. Like, and nobody, who would be mad at that? Who would be mad at that if you wrote that right? Like, who could legit be like, you know what, that's not my Black Panther? Hell, there was people in the when the first Black Panther came out that was like low key. I wish that he was
It was
Black
right.
Panther
Yep.
rather than
There were.
Chadwick
Yep.
Boseman.
Yep. There
Like
were
we
people
forget
who said
about that.
shit.
And
Yep.
this is where I get pissed off because people now that are all about this whole don't recast Chadwick Boseman and talking about like all of the racial implications and all of this, the co-opted and I'm like, where were you at? Like you totally were on a different vibe when the movie first dropped. Like you were totally talking something completely different when the movie dropped. When the first Black Panther movie came out, y'all wasn't on this tip. Like y'all was like out here like low key. I thought Killmonger was the better Black Panther in the movie. It should have been Black Panther. Well, okay, so then Chadwick Boseman passes, and now all of a sudden we forget about that. No, Killmonger can't be the new Black Panther. You were just saying that. Like, how does it change? Like, that's what I don't get people sometimes, man. It's like,
Yeah.
y'all were just saying that, and now it don't count. Like, now it can't be that. This guy, get out of here, man. Keep the
It wasn't
same energy,
recorded.
bro.
They didn't catch him on camera or nothing, and it didn't count. They didn't say it.
I'm just saying, keep the same energy, man. Like, if that's what you were saying, then keep saying it. But like, I specifically saw a lot of these content creators that had that opinion of Killmonger in Black Panther, and now all of a sudden you mentioned the idea of him playing, and it's like, oh, that's blasphemous.
Right.
Shout out to Screen Crush. Go check out Screen Crush. Screen Crush got a video where they break down how Killmonger could be the new Black Panther, and how it wouldn't upset anything within the continuity of what we got in the first movie, and how it would actually make sense, especially with them bringing Namor into it. Like, this man makes some damn good points, and like after I watched that video, I was like even more cemented in my thought that like anything other than Killmonger being recast as Black Panther to me will be like a step down. That's just my opinion, but like especially the way that Ryan Airy broke it down. I'm just saying, go check that video out, man. But that right there gives you a great pathway to how you can get to recasting T'Challa and not dishonor Chadwick Boseman's memory, and how you could do the justice to honoring Shuri as well, and kind of keeping her in her same role in the Black Panther or in the Marvel universe. So again, check that out. But it's just, that's to me is like the layup, man. That's the no-brainer.
Yeah, I thought so too. Like, you bring him in, that's about the only other thing that you could do if they were to do it quick, or even if they did it down the line and they have a video game coming out, then that ultimately means that they're probably going, if they choose to recast, they're probably trying to soften the blow by giving people a game to go play. That because here it says, they acknowledge in the MCU films that T'Challa was played by Chadwick Boseman. He passed away. Since he's passed away, the trailer makes it clear that the film universe will incorporate the element into the story, but it's unclear if the game will follow T'Challa, another Black Panther, or if it'll be an original player created character. So even if they did the game and found a way, I think that they would probably find a way to make it an original player created character.
Okay.
But give you the option to also play as T'Challa.
I'm with that.
I feel like it would probably be something like that.
I wouldn't have a problem with that because again, it's a video game.
Right.
Like,
or you're being mentored some way by T'Challa.
Exactly, by T'Challa. That's cool with me. That's we need more of that. Like, the more I think about it, these Marvel games and even with DC, we need more Spider-Man games. And what I mean by that is Spider-Man on PS4 was an incredible standalone Spider-Man story. Like, it was from top to bottom, it was a great Spider-Man story. It didn't have to connect to anything else. I mean, it ties into the Miles Morales game that they made, but that's as far as it goes, right? Now, we've got the Wolverine game coming up that might tie in, we might not, we don't know that. But as far as like standalone, that should be the blueprint. Like, every superhero game you come out with, you should be aiming for that. Like, that's the standard. And it doesn't have to be like this grand spectacle or anything like that. You just need solid gameplay, great voice acting, and have your graphics and your special effects crisp as I don't know what, man. And that's it. Like, the story is going, like, the story with Marvel games, I feel like take care of itself for the most part, because you have so many stories you can pull from. Like, you don't even have to make up a new story. You can just adapt any one of the comic runs that, you know, people gravitate towards. So
Right.
that part is kind of taken care of. But that's what I'm saying, man. You can do that with a Wolverine. You can do that with a Black Panther game. Hell, you can do that with a Thor game. You could do it with a Superman game if you wanted to. We done said that like I don't know how many times on this damn show. Like it's just all we need. We want solid gameplay, man. Like it's not rocket science. But we live in this society right now and in a climate where it's like, hey man, it's all about that bottom line, bro. Like they trying to, hey, how many dollars can we squeeze up out of this? We trying to GTA 5 these games.
Right.
That's where we are, man. Like mofos is trying to squeeze money like GTA 5.
They try to make one game every 15 years.
Because I'll tie it back to the one thing about FIFA that was disappointing. Still got that season shit. I'm like, every game now has some kind of a catch where they try to entice you to put your actual money into the game to get this quote unquote exclusive timed content. 2K the only one getting me with that, man.
Something here earlier from T-Rev. He was asking, he was saying something about the time travel accident messes ages up T'Challa Jr. And then you have his son be the new Black Panther. I don't know how they would be cool with that. Though.
I would be cool with that if they did that at a later date. Like if they did that in another movie. Because my thing is, if you try to introduce the concept of him having a son in this movie, that's a lot of stuff to try to tie up in a 2.5 hour movie. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You got to deal with his death. You got to deal with the Namor situation. You got to deal with how all of the characters that were intimately connected to T'Challa, how they're dealing with it. And you have to deal with trying to bring a son in. And you got to deal with connecting this to like the overall Marvel multiverse saga. Like, I think throwing a son is too many ingredients in the sauce at that point. Like, if that's the case, save that storyline for the next T'Challa movie, or better yet, save that for the Wakanda show, the streaming show,
right?
And build up. That way, you have time to kind of flesh that out and kind of give people time to connect with that character. If that's the way you're gonna go long term, I just don't know if from a storyline content we can afford to wait long enough for him to be aged up. Or I won't even say the aged up part, because like you said, that could be a multiverse thing. But I don't think we have enough time between now and when we get to Secret Wars to get fans connected to a T'Challa Jr. to where they would accept him as Black Panther. Like, that's a whole new character. Like, you think about somebody like, I don't know, Ant-Man or one of the other like Wanda. How long it took for them to be like looked at and accepted and kind of like cut for on the same level as the core Avengers team. You know what I'm saying? I just don't know if we have enough time to be focusing on a brand new T'Challa unless we did it in that streaming show. So I like the T'Challa Jr. aspect of it, but I just think we don't, like, for this movie, there's already going to be so much going on that you don't want to undercut that storyline or rush it and try to pack it in there last minute.
Right. I think it'd be difficult to try to implant a son to have him grow and be affected in any kind of way.
That's what's up.
To be implanted as a Black Panther. Like you said, it's just, there's too many different variables.
Yeah.
In this movie, in the next movie, there's just too many things to try to make that tie in and be like, I am T'Challa's son. Like, what
right. I'm saying, because, and especially, it would be recycled almost in a way, because we already had kind of like the son aspect with Killmonger and the way that they kind of introduced him. So it's like, how do you do that and it not feel like a rehash in some ways of what we saw with his son?
Yeah, and then that messes up the character in the first place for him trying to go back to his dad and tell him that he was wrong for him to be doing the same. Yeah.
Although that wouldn't really, I mean,
it would make it dramatic, but
yeah, but if you think about it, sins of the father, bro. Like, I mean, we live in a repetitive society where sometimes we end up making the same mistakes. Yeah, I feel you. But I'm just, if they wanted to go that route, if they wanted to go that route, they could do so. But I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. I just feel like it would be too close to, and it would undermine the Killmonger storyline way too much. I mean, we're gonna see how it goes. We're gonna definitely see what this game is talking about, because no matter what, Black Panther in the open world, I am here for it.
Yeah, it got a lot of potential. But we shall see. We shall see.